every office would benefit from. It's not fun. It's annoying. It's tedious, but it's the only way that I've really got us to consistently be good. All right, my friends, the Ultimate OD podcast got a little catching up on The Office, some perspective that I had starting the practice, what I'm going to do differently going forward. You want to get this information if you are looking to expand, if you're looking to start a practice, and then office culture, the importance of the office meeting. It's a double episode for you in one, two things that matter. Closing thought of the episode. This is the Ultimate OD podcast. Here we go. All right, my friends, the Ultimate OD podcast. Thank you for the likes, the listens, the ride that's been. This has been a good start to the year in terms of the office. January and February, two of our best months ever. One of the things I was talking to my wife about today, actually, was what I'm going to do when I start the next office. And one of the things that I just need to put out there is you need runway. You need cash in the bank. And I had, I think I took out $350,000 loan, and I put in about $150K of my own money, and still had money to put in, right? But the thing that I didn't anticipate, that you're gonna hit road bumps, you're gonna hit roadblocks, and a few things cost more than I thought they were going to, or we made decisions and you had to adapt. So you have to have whatever your budget is, add another like 10%, because you're going to have to make those additions. It's going to be building delays, etc. The other thing that I didn't anticipate was I knew I was going to lose income from being in the move, right? And I thought I could do it quicker than what I actually did. I thought I'd do it over a weekend and then go. It is a lot to move and then get everyone set up, get them functional, knowing what to do. And I had a theory of how everything was going to flow and work, but I'd never been in there. I didn't know how the flow was going to be. So getting in there, and it took about a week to get everyone set up and ready and functional, right? Get all the things in the right place, and then kind of work through some slower weeks, get an idea of how the flow works. So know that that's going to happen. But in addition, we put it out there on social media like, hey, we're moving, new location. We want everyone to know. We send out emails, tons of stuff. Well, a hidden side effect of that was people didn't know if they could schedule appointments, if we were open yet. And that slowed us down as well, right? So we had the most staff I've ever had. I hired 2 additional people. I had another doctor on payroll. We had increased overhead of the new building. Money was coming out of I was just bleeding money because I had to buy things that we needed and get furniture and supplies, and now we have more rooms to take care of. We got in there in October, and it was about a 3-month process to get that all ironed out, right? And then thankfully January hit and we started going. But in that midst of all of that, IMED, one of the 2 biggest managed care plans that I take, got screwed up because we changed locations, right? We couldn't pull up their benefits. We couldn't bill them. So I'm seeing IMED patients and not getting paid for them for 3 months. Thankfully, about 5 months later, like finally end of February, we got it all paid up. But going into September, October, November, 3 months of just not getting paid for things. That hurt the bottom line as well. And you can't plan for those things. So things that I would change, just putting it out there, and I'm talking about this because it's top of mind, right? Is give yourself enough cash in the bank. I'm talking to my wife about things we want to do in our house. We want to put on an addition. We want to get a pool, stuff like that. But I also want to grow the business. That's what I keep telling her, and thankfully she's on board with that because that's our 10-year plan, right? Where are we going to be? And we have to grow the business, expand our footprint. And to do that, I need cash in the bank, right? We're going to take out loans, use other people's money, make it work. Because I could pay off the loan at the office. I could, I have a little bit left over that I owe on the IPL. And we want to do stuff at our house. Well, the house is the back seat. We're functional, we're fine. If we have to do any home improvements, we have cash on hand to do it, right? But to get loans from the bank, to be able to grow and expand, you need cash. That's how you get capital. It's weird, but if you have cash, you don't need the loan as much, but you need cash to get the loan. It's whatever, right? So you need cash in hand, and then you have to have enough runway to just think you're not going to see any patients for like 3 months. That would be the worst case scenario, right? And do the math on it. What's the worst case scenario? How much money do you have? And I need more runway than I gave myself in this scenario. The other thing I said too is I went to the nines and building this practice out. As I grow, scale, and expand, I don't think I need to do. The office doesn't need to be as nice as I made this one, right? But those are just things that were top of mind that came into my head. If you're starting a practice, if you're going to expand or you're looking to move, those are just things I went through that, looking back now, I'm definitely going to be more prepared for in the future. Things are going to go wrong. How do you adapt? And 5 months in now, we're starting to get momentum, build up, and something that came to my head as I'm talking about that. The smartest thing I did was in, I think, April or May. I work with National Strategic, and they're great at marketing. It's all planned and prepped. But I'm like, hey, how are we going to fill this office? Let's get Google Ads, PPC, pay per click. Let's get that going. That's the easiest way to get more people in. And we had everything prepared. We had all the campaigns ready. We got in and we were ready to market and go. And that, honestly, we're, for the year, not counting being at the end of 24, for the year, we're up 25% on new patients. We're up about 10% on established patients. Like, we're growing, we're expanding, it's working, not as fast as I want it to be, but I knew you have to throw money at marketing before you're actually in there. If you're doing it, like if you're marketing in November for end of year, you're way too late. You have to do that leading into it. You want about a month to 2 months lead time. So, and we are still dumping tons of money into the pay-per-click. I'm like, let's max that out. And now we're looking at other ways to expand mailers, direct mail, a lot of things out there that we're exploring. But you got to put money into capturing new people. And it's working, right? One of my good friends, his comment to me was, how much do you want to spend on marketing? I'm like, I have 5 to 7% of our gross I put towards the marketing budget, right? He goes, if I were you, I'd take whatever you expect to be at, end game for the practice. So if you're thinking you're going to be a $3 million office, a $2 million office, make your budget that right away. You're going to just eat dirt for the first year, but after year one, you're going to have momentum. And then as that income expands, you'll be at the spot you need to be, but market for the office that you foresee yourself having. So just, that's something that I've been cognizant of. I've been trying to do, little tidbits of advice that I can give you. All right, if you remember that the old podcast, that probably is a little bit of office talk. I let off with it, but let's get into the meat of this episode. And one of the things that I think has made my practice successful in this transition, that's made us successful for the past decade, is we have pretty much, since I've opened year 3 and beyond, so 10 years now, we have a monthly office meeting, right? And that's the last Thursday of the month. We had it at different times. I tried doing it after hours, Friday after we closed, late Monday nights after we closed. Now we get in at 8:30. I don't open the office till 9:30, and we do it the last Thursday of every month. That is so important for you to do. My office was supposed to have an office meeting end of February, and we got the Ebola virus. Everyone was sick, puking. Some were there, some were not, and I pushed it a week, right? So we had the first week of March, and now we're in the last week of March. We're having office meetings, and it allowed everyone to be there. I'll tell you this: it would have been incredibly easy for me to say, you know what, where everyone's sick, we have a lot going on. We're just going to cancel this meeting. We'll meet up in March, right? Office meetings, I am making like a presentation that I'm giving to the staff every single month. I have to think of what we're going to talk about, how I'm going to present it, what's the messaging that I want to be. It takes effort, right? Getting it all together, it's time and effort and energy, right? And I still like being the voice. There's going to be a point in time where I won't be the lead on it, but I just don't have that staff right now. I don't have that person that can see the vision and convey the vision, right? So that's where I lie. Now, things that have changed in the office meeting. I used to talk about a lot of, we call it housekeeping things like, hey, make sure that we're getting copays at check-in. If you're talking about this in optical, make sure you talk about a pair 50 or sunglasses. When you're talking to patients on the phone, make sure you're reminding them to bring X, Y, or Z. Like housekeeping things, day-to-day operations things. That is now a separate meeting. So the way I do it is the Friday before the office meeting, my managers give me a list of things, housekeeping things they've come up with. I add the things I want them to go over because believe it or not, when you have a meeting coming up, that week you'll pay attention to all the little things that are going on and you'll start writing them down and you'll fill up a huge list. They then, on Wednesday night, I meet with the managers weekly, but we have a all manager meeting. So my head of marketing, my head of the office, and the head of optical, we all sit down, go over the big picture things, get everyone on the same page because they're not always communicating the same things to each other, what we're thinking, and then we go over the housekeeping things that they're going to do. And then that Wednesday night, they have a meeting. It lasts about 15 minutes, right? That now I don't have to deal with, where they go over those things. It used to be out with memos or whatnot, and they just cover the housekeeping things. I'm not there. It gives them a chance to have communication and go from there, right? Then the Thursday, I have the big office meeting. And when I have the big office meeting, you might wonder, like, what makes a good meeting? Things that I always have. Number one, if you get any kind of reviews, good or bad, I share those. And I'm always like, hey, these experiences are it reflects us all, right? It's not just the doctor. It represents the front desk. It represents the doctors. It represents the optical. This is the experience. If we get a bad one too, we own it. You know what? Is there anything we could have done better here? Where do we make mistakes? You know, like it's a post-mortem. We all look at it and say, hey, what could we have done different? Don't shy away from those things. We always address those experiences. If there's anything that someone says, a patient that is complimentary or someone does something above and beyond, I'm always big to call it out at that time, right? You want to reinforce your behaviors, your core values. And that goes back to core values. I talk about the core values. I try to get my managers to do it on a daily basis. They're not. But we at least every month go over, this is what we're going to do. I have a 10-year vision. This is where we're going to be at 10 years. This is what I want us to do. This is where I think we're going to be at exam-wise, right? We review our scorecard. Listen to the last episode. I talk about what the scorecard is. I go over those things, and they're in every single meeting. 10 minutes tops. And then what I do is throughout the week, I'm meeting with the optical, meeting with the front desk, I'm meeting with the other doctor, and I'm getting a bunch of information. Like, where are we not meshing? Where is there a pain point, right? And for example, as doctors, we notice that the techs aren't always telling us that the patient has glasses. And we don't know at the time, and that's good data for us to have. If they're a new patient, we want to know what they were wearing, right? Or I talked to the optical manager, and at times the doctors aren't giving codes. It's really slowing them up. Or the opticians aren't telling the manager what is good and what's bad, right? So I'm like, these are things that need to be addressed. And instead of like coming in and beating them down, I'm like, hey, these are things that we need to be, everyone in this office, we win and lose together. And These are things that we all need to be aware of. I start off with like, hey, we're having some remakes. How can we make this better as an office? I'm like, hey, if you know they have glasses, let us know. I'm not calling one out, but all the things that are bothering me, that are pain points for the office, I am putting them out there. I'm like, hey, we had our best month ever for pre-appoints and contact lenses. What's the difference? And one of my staff members came out and said, hey, I think it's because we have these one-on-one meetings with the optical and you're asking us what works for us, what we're doing, and we're communicating. I'm like, thank you. Like, making my point for me. I'm like, yes, this is the culture that we have. This is not a time to be like, oh, you suck, or look at her, I'm not, doing this, or I'm so good, look at me here. I'm like, that's not what we do here. And if that's the case, I went over the core values. You don't fit into this core value, you don't belong here, right? That's reinforcing our culture. But what I'm doing is trying to get everyone on the same page and have them all see how little things that they're not doing or doing are causing issues. And I find the one that is doing the thing that I want them to, and I call like, yes, praise. You're awesome. More people do that. Like one of the pain points, one of our opticians was at a 0% pair 50, like second pair sales thing. Right? 0%. February, she was 22%. Amazing. I called that out. Like, hey, we made it a point to say, hey, what are you doing? What is the issue? And I looked at you and I'm like, I knew you didn't want to be talking about that. Why is he calling this out? But because of that, you're at 22%, right? Reiterating the point. So you're going to find pain points. Make sure you're discussing them. Make sure you're putting out there, but portray it in such a way that it's a positive. That, sometimes you got to call people out. Hey, we're not doing this. We have to do it. But if you can make it as a positive or highlight someone that's doing something well, doing the thing that no one else is doing, and say, hey, they did it this one time that helped me make this happen, you will get better buy-in. And you're like, what am I going to talk about at a meeting? We have a meeting. It goes away. 80% of what you talk about, they won't remember the next day. Literally 80%. It's a nightmare, right? I was telling my staff, like, hey, when you're talking to patients, you got to let them know when they get a new pair of glasses, they're going to have distortion. I know you guys are here in these meetings. You're the same way. I was talking to the office manager. I'm like, hey, we're saying things, and we told them it 7 times until you get it. When you have an office meeting, you're going to hit about 3 to 5 topics over and over and over again. You hit the things that matter, that are meaty, and you'll start to see a change. You just got to keep beating that drum. Be redundant, be consistent, and that's when you'll see change. You'll see growth. You'll see 5 months into your new office, it's starting to work and flow because you keep beating the drum. You're consistent. You're getting them to understand what is important and what you value. Okay, so that's something that I think every office would benefit from. It's not fun. It's annoying. It's tedious, but it's the only way that I've really got us to consistently be good. Getting everyone on the same page and all people know what they do. Then after the office meeting, the following week, the office managers will quiz them on the office meeting. Hey, do you understand this? Did you get what's going on? Because you go over it, they nod their heads. Don't assume they know what's going on. A good meeting, in addition, has not you just lecturing and talking the whole time. There's interaction. They have input. People are putting in their 2 cents. That's the environment that I want, right? Call me out. What am I doing wrong? Come up with ideas. If they think they came up with the plan, they're invested. They're going to do it better, right? You're going to steer the plan the way you want it to go, but get them invested in what's going on. You'll see a change. And I know I've had this podcast before, right? Why? Because you guys need to hear it again 7 times, and you'll finally get it. That's what I have for you. We'll have more for you next week. Where has the time gone? We are to the closing thought of the episode, and Mr. Tom Brady said this quote, and I thought it was amazing. And this is a mentality that I think we need to have as leaders of our business, of whatever you're in charge of. this mentality works. Double the pleasure, divide the pain, right? Double the pleasure, divide the pain. When you are winning and you have a team, it's great when you win together, right? It's an awesome environment. I love it when my staff starts to see success and they're excited for things that are happening in the office. They're excited to see people come and be developed and do things that they didn't think, or the initiative that we've carried out is starting to work. But I'll tell you this: one of the best things that's happened to me, and this started when I hired my first manager or promoted to actual office manager, Casey, is that divide the pain. Right? When things are bad, when things are low, it used to be me by myself. And I just had to dwell on it, put it in my little pit of my stomach, and deal with it on my own. And it's a cold, dark place if you are by yourself. But when you have a team that's invested, that's bought in, you're still going to feel the worst. You're still in charge. You have all the pressure, right? But when you can divide the pain and everyone feels it together, the other doctor and me, when we go through and we're like, I'm very acutely aware that she wants to be busier. I want to be busier. And I share my experience of how I started off and I felt the same way. How I am busier than her, but I still am going freaking nuts. Or if we get RX checks, I got your back. Like I had that. I used to hate seeing them on the schedule, right? But I got your back. You're fine. I'll support you in this. Like keep doing what you're doing. Like divide the pain. Don't go through it alone. Whether it's your managers, whether it's you, your associate doctors, double the pleasure, divide the pain. Make sure that you have an atmosphere, a culture, a environment that's your mentality, because that in itself makes you want to be where you're at. Keep your team together, keep them happy. Uh, in the highs and lows, you need each other. That's what I have for you. Dr. Lily out.